Welcome back to What Arty Noobs with General Disturbance. This is a KV-220-2. It's a Tier 5 Soviet premium heavy. It's located on the eastbourne of Airfield and it's under the command of ChaosWarlord. Now this tank is armed with a 76mm gun, which is historically inaccurate because the actual KV-220-2 was armed with an 85mm gun. In fact, the same gun as you find on the T28E with the F30 gun, the 85mm that's on that vehicle. In actual fact, the KV-220-2 was produced alongside the T150, and they both have a hull which eventually became the KV-3. The KV-220-2 actually had 100mm of armour, and the T150 had 90mm of frontal armour. But both projects were continued until they eventually decided to build the KV-3 with slightly modifications. It's basically a KV-1 with extra armour. And the hull on this tank is the same as the KV-3, which is a Tier 7 Soviet heavy. Well, you can see that ChaosWarlord, rather than going up the heavy alley, he's actually decided he's going to go off to this corner where he can see if the enemy is actually coming through Temple Mount area. In fact, there's a T14 there. Now, he's only armed with a 76mm and he's loaded the APCR, 110 Alpha, penetrating 99mm of armour, and 121 with the APCR. His first shot goes straight through the T14's armour. Second one didn't though, I think he just hit him in the wrong place. Really needs to immobilise that guy. Second shot goes in, lower plate. He's being hit from behind by a tank destroyer. Ideally he wants to put the enemy between him and that tank destroyer to stop getting shot at. Pick your spot, fire at him, immobilise him. That's better. Use him as cover from the enemy. Now, you can punch through the armour there. Oh, no he didn't. He didn't get that one in. In fact, he's having a bit of difficulty here. And then T67's joined us, but yeah, he's got no match for this tank. And, well, he should be firing the standard ammo now because the T67's got such weak armour. He'll easily punch straight through. But he's still taking damage from enemy tanks that he can't see, so he's decided to pull back. Okay, you can get a moment's rest, try and work out what he needs to do next. Well, the Panzer 4D, he can see him and he's now loaded the standard ammo to save himself some credits. Most of these tanks he should be able to punch through with standard ammo. The T14, well, it helped that he fired premium ammo, but that's going to cost him towards the end of the game, I should think. Now, the KV-220-2 originally was quite an OP tank in the game, and that M5A1 Stuart seems to be oblivious to the fact that there's a heavy tank to his right that can wipe him out easily. And in fact, actually, ChaosWarlord's oblivious to the M5 as well, because there's no damage that that guy really can do to ChaosWarlord. And yep, there we go, he's out the game. It's very OP because it's a Tier 7 hull at Tier 5. This is a Tier 5 game. So he's actually able to do a lot of damage to these enemy tanks without them being able to hurt him back, so long as they auto-aim at him. If they aim for the weak spots, either at the turret, the sides of the turret, or the rear of the vehicle, yeah, then they can penetrate. But or at the sides for that matter. But if they try to auto-aim for the front of this vehicle, they're going to have a lot of difficulty trying to penetrate through because most of their vehicles do not have the penetration to get through the amount of armour on the front of this vehicle. It's very slow, this vehicle, though, because it's very heavy. In fact, actually, they had a lot of trouble with the engine on these vehicles because the engines just weren't capable of putting out enough power to keep them rolling. And in fact, most of the engines overheated during testing, and eventually they had to be replaced with even more powerful turbocharged engines to make them work. It was just the sheer weight of the vehicle. It was over 100 tons by the end, and that's a lot of weight to actually carry around. I think it's 100 tons anyway, but it's certainly too much weight for the actual engine to cope with. Well, there's still a number of enemies out there. In fact, there's still 9 enemies out there, but... Oh, there's the Hetzer. We know where he is now. We can see that there's a Panzer 38NA off to our left, as well as a Type 95. And you can probably get shots on those guys if he moves towards them, but at the moment they're staying behind cover, so he's just decided to drive into the enemy rear and shoot whoever he can see. Nope, the Type 95's not going to come out. He is going to die where he is. One more shot and he's a goner. And in fact, actually, the Type 95 just killed our Panzer IV-H. Well, the Hetzer, who fired us a short time ago, is now right in front of us. And he's over the other side of the cap. So if we're going to get to him, we're going to have to drive through the cap. The Type 95 has been killed. Now, he's auto-aimed onto the Hetzer, and he's using the APCR. Probably not a good idea. You probably want to aim these shots to actually get the most out of them. And that one punches through. He only needs 3 more shots like that, and the Hetzer's a goner. So he's getting close. There you go. And in fact, actually, he goes for a bit of a ram. But he's having difficulty trying to punch through because he's aiming for the wrong spots. Aim for the wheel arches or the slots. There you go. That one went through. Oh, and he shoved him off the cliff. Now he's in that spot there. You need to yes, that'll do. He's being hit as well by that B1. Now, you can do that with standard ammo. He's about to fire his last APCR. There you go. Didn't do any damage, though. Now he has to fire his standard AP, and you'll notice he does pen with the standard AP. Yep. Could have saved himself a lot of credits. And he's now potentially got the high caliber. There's only 3 enemies left. A Valiant, the KV-1, and a DW2. Well, as far as we know, the KV-1 is back at the other end of the map near our cap. The Valiant and the DW2 are supposedly on Temple Mount, short distance away, but they can't get at him here. And I suspect the tank that is now capping is the KV-1. Well, we're not going to chase over to the other side of the map because you saw how slowly this heavy tank moved. He's not going to get over there by the time that the enemy stops... by the time that the enemy caps out. He's now firing blindly at the Valiant. Oh, you can see him just the top of the turret. And I suspect the Valiant can see him as well and is trying to get a reset on him. Ah, that's better. He got a hit there. And he's got the kill. Now we've got 2 in the cap now, so we've made certain of the game, but I suspect he probably like to kill that DW2. He's done 2,000 hit points of damage, blocked 3,000, so he might actually get a steel wall as well. And we're about to cap out. And that's it, they've won by cap. The KV-220-2. Yes, it's still OP, but it can be defeated. Let's have a look at the end of battle stats. Well, it was a second-class tanker for ChaosWarlord in the KV-220-2. He managed to get a hand of gold, surviving the battle, having received damage from 4 different enemy tanks. A fighter badge for getting at least 4 kills. He got 4 exactly. A fire for effect for doing more damage than the hit points for his own vehicle. And a shell proof for blocking more damage than the hit points for his own vehicle. He got a cool-headed for surviving at least 10 ricochets or non-penetrating shots in the row from the enemy. A steel wall for blocking the most damage in the game, at least 11 hits. And also a high caliber for dealing the most damage in the game and getting at least 20% of the enemy hit pool in total. So let's have a look at team score. Well, according to this, he did get the highest damage, 2,072 hit points of damage. Nobody else was close, really. The M8A1, 1,528, and the KV-1 on the enemy team, 1,409. I think that was the guy who was actually capping. When it came to kills, he had the highest number of those with 4 kills, 2 kills for the M8A1, the Panzer Mark IV Aslains H, and also the KV-1, the Panzer Mark IV Aslains H on the enemy team. And when it came to base XP, he's got the top in all 3 columns. Yes, because he got 1,302, and he was the only one to get over 1,000 base in that game. 807 went to the Churchill 3, 687 went to the M8A1. He fired 33 shots in that game, got 31 direct hits and 20 penetrations. Damage of 2,072 hit points, of which 194 were at more than 300 meters. He received 41 hits during that game. 41, that's an awful lot. A lot of those shots were actually fired while he was engaging the T-14. 8 of which penetrated and 33 non-penetrations, a lot of which actually went into the tracks or were fired at very thick armour on the front of the vehicle and of course just had no effect whatsoever. He blocked damage of 3,085 hit points, spotted 1 enemy vehicle, damaged 8 of the enemy, killed 4, did 433 hit points of damage assistance, and he got 69 cap points. So if he'd only stayed in the cap for a little longer on his own, he might have actually ended up with an Invader medal as well. On a free-to-play account, he earned 43,475 credits, but he fired an awful lot of APCR in that game, which he didn't need to fire. He could have got away with standard AP on most of his shots, and in actual fact, he ended up with a loss for 8,224 credits for that game. Yeah, bit of a shame, because it could have been a positive game in terms of credits if he just restricted himself to standard ammo throughout. 1,302 XP. Times 2 for the first victory, 521 for this being a premium vehicle, and took away 3,125 experience points altogether. Now, Wargaming don't put the KV-220-2 on sale all that often. In fact, it's very rare to see it on sale. I believe it was in the loot boxes a couple of Christmases ago as one of the additional tanks when people were going after the main tank that was on sale. I think it was the IS-3A that was on sale or was the top one that most people wanted to get, and instead they ended up getting KV-220-2s instead. Probably quite a few of KV-220-2s and received the gold instead. But this is actually quite a good tank. It's not a bad trainer actually as well. It's fun because at the particular level it is OP, but it forces you to use a 76mm gun, which technically it shouldn't, because it should be using an 85mm gun, and Wargaming admits that in their own wiki. If you look at the wiki, it says this tank had an 85mm gun, but Wargaming's just put the standard 76mm of a KV-1 turret, and that is what it's got. It's a KV-1 turret on a KV-3 hull, which gives it a bit of a challenge for most players to try and play this tank with standard ammo and see if they can actually penetrate enemy vehicles. In fact, if they do come across another KV-220-2, which does happen quite often, then it is a challenge to see who can actually penetrate the other KV-220-2. And the way to do it is to aim for the turret, even with standard ammo. Standard 76mm rounds will go through this turret if you aim at the right spots. That's not aiming for the mantlet, but trying to aim for the sides, or at the sides, the cheeks of the mantlet. Then you can get the shells to go in. But if you try to aim for anywhere else, I think you're going to have a bit of difficulty, because the standard ammo won't go through the front of a KV-220-2 on the hull. So don't aim for the hull, aim for the turrets. The only way to bring these beasts down. If you enjoyed this replay, please give this video a like and do subscribe to our channel. And thanks for watching.